Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Kunga Naman To. At saka hype na hype ako para sa episode na to. Kasi, um, I don't know, kasi matagal na ako hindi nagre-record. By matagal, I mean like 2 days. I don't know, na-enjoy ko to eh. I think halata naman sa way on how I speak sa episodes na I really am enjoying this. Like, it's a new hobby for me, and it's fun, it's entertaining, and it fuels my creative juices just the way I like it. So, para sa episode na to, we're gonna be talking about cancel culture. Kasi for me, cancel culture is the modern mob mentality. So, bakit itong topic na 'to? Takot ba ako ma-cancel? I mean, kinda. Pero, what inspired me to create this episode is an old essay I wrote nung senior high school. It's in my Canva account, and I reused this essay one more time nitong college, and I love it. I love this essay na I wrote, and I just love how like podcast quality yung essay na 'to. Basta let's just jump into it. So, before we start, I'll read the essay to you para that way, kasi I don't know, I just wanna read the essay and it's really well written for me. So, in a world where social media reigns supreme, the rise of cancel culture has cast a dark shadow over our freedom of expression, transforming the digital world into a minefield of fear and uncertainty. What was once a platform for sharing ideas, jokes, and art has now become a battleground where one misstep can lead to social crucifixion. At its core, cancel culture embodies the dangerous resurgence of mob mentality, reminiscent of the witch hunts of centuries past. In the age of viral outrage, individuals are no longer judged by the content of their character, but by the mistakes of their past, forever etched in the digital archives of the internet. The fear of being cancelled looms large, suffocating the vibrant exchange of ideas and opinions that once thrived online. And then it keeps going, pero you get the gist of it from that portion pa lang. So, cancel culture. I do believe na cancel culture is the modern day mob mentality kasi the mob mentality has been part of human civilization like noon pa. Like it was really famous during the medieval period when women and people were accused of being witches, and then people would gather their pitchforks and their torch and be like, burn them to the stake, burn them to the stake, or something like that. But um that's when ano, m the mob mentality was pretty prominent in human history. Of course, it has been there since civilization has ever existed. Pero I'm now trying to think if the mob mentality existed during the Jurassic era. Imagine like a caveman fucking something up, like they forgot to gather the meal for the night, and then all the fucking cavemen were all like, "Ooga booga, where the fuck did you put the meat? Where the fuck did you put the meat, ooga booga?" And then they be like, "No, I forgot the fucking meat, man. Don't fucking kill me." And then they all grab their stones and like, burn him to the stake. Burn him to the stake. Fuck this guy. And then everybody just bashes his head on the rock. I digress. Where the fuck did that come from? Pero what I mean is, ayun na nga, the mob mentality has been there for a long time, and is the mob mentality good? Well, the mob mentality happens kasi people equally want justice. They find something na they see as something na unjust, kaya they all gang up, and then they come together, work together para they can put down this threat that threatens to, I don't know, fuck up their society. Something like witches or traitors. Like people gang up, they gather their pitchforks, and then they put them towards social pressure para they can atone for their sins, kumbaga. Is it effective? To be honest, not really. Kasi the mob mentality, it doesn't really encourage people's critical thinking skills. It just encourages people to agree with what other people agree on. Like, ayun na nga, like kung babalik natin sa medieval era, like, witch daw si ano, si ganto ganyan. And then people will be like, people, syempre, kapag nagki-critical thinking ka kasi, nakakapagod siya. Kaya mahirap mag-isip, kaya hindi lahat ng tao ginagawa yun, eh. So, like let's say, somebody got accused of being a witch, they won't even go through the effort of trying to figure out if they're a witch or not. People will just tend to believe with what the majority believes in. And then kaya nafo-form a mob mentality. Like, whatever the majority agrees on, that's what I agree on. And it's shitty kasi hindi nade-develop yung critical thinking skills mo. You just tend to go with whatever the majority says is right, which is so fucking stupid. Pero ayun. And dahil sa mob mentality, people tend to make rash decisions. People tend to make rash decisions. Decisions na hindi naman masyado napag-iisipan. Decisions na pinipili kasi yun yung pinipili ng majority. Kasi siyempre iniisip mo na, oh, if this many people think that this person's a witch, then chances are they're a witch. Same goes for cancel culture. Segue, wala ka dun. Pero ayun, um, when people accuse somebody of doing something in the modern day, ang pinaka-common na lagi ko nakikita, "This person's a pedophile. This person molested somebody. This person's a sex offender." And a lot of people won't go through the effort of researching, doing the background check. Legit ba 'to or hindi? People don't tend to do that. People will just be like, "Oh, if this many content creators are saying na this person's this or this person's that, then chances are this person is that kasi sobrang daming tao nagsasabi, ibig sabihin totoo 'to." Even though most of the time, they're just accusations. And then people feed off of that, people eat that shit up, and then they're like, "Oh fuck, this shit's real. This person is that." Even though they didn't even go through the effort of actually doing the research and actually getting to know if this person is that. But ayun, and then nagpo-form na yung cancel culture. Pero before, was the mob mentality effective? Balik natin sa tanong kanina, like atras muna tayo ng konti. Beep, beep, beep. Was the mob mentality effective? Let's make a pros and cons list. The pros ng mob culture is everybody is given a voice to express themselves. You get to express, like, if you're part of the minority that thinks that this person is not a witch, chances are, well, you can express that by not being part of the mob. Pero if you do think that this person is a witch, you're given a voice to express your anger, your frustration towards this person. You get to have a voice and you get to be part of a small group of people that have the same ideas as you do. You're given the light to speak. And yeah, another pro is you get to take justice into your own hands and prosecute someone without the help of external authoritative figures. Kasi the point of the mob mentality is, if a majority of people agree on one thing, they form a mob and then they express their thoughts and shit. So, ayun. You get to seek justice better kasi you're in a group rather than doing it on your own and approaching an authoritative figure like the medieval guards and shit. Like, "Hey, yo, I saw this person flying last night. This bitch is a witch." And they're like, "Nah, fam, that can't be." Pero if like a fuck ton of people approach the medieval guards and are like, "Hey, yo, we all think that this bitch is a witch." And then the guards might be like, "Oh fuck, there's a fuck ton of people. That must mean that this bitch is a witch." And then they'd be like, "Hey, yo, King. Yo, what's up, G? Man, I think this bitch is a witch. How come?" check out all the people outside, bro. God damn, bro. There's so many people outside. What do we do? It must mean that this bitch is a witch. And then they burn that bitch on a stake. You get what I'm trying to say? Like, ano, the amount of people that you have backing up your claims really affects how people see it. Because when there's a fuck ton of people that agree with your claims, people tend to believe that it is true because look at the fuck ton of people right there. There's a lot, and that must mean that it is true. And without even giving it much thought, they agree. So ayun, you have more power when it comes to seeking justice. Yun yung pros nun. Yung cons nun medyo malaki-laki. Number one, social fear of being socially outcasted. Kasi with this constant fear na you could be fucked over at any moment ever. Like saying something wrong at any given time can lead to you being cancelled. Siyempre malilimit nun yung creative freedom mo. You're less likely to do things that will offend the majority, which will limit your creativity. And of course, it is a good thing naman kasi people, they get to be put in line. Like, magkakaroon ng limits. Like, no sa mga gantong jokes. Hindi ka pwede gumamit ng gantong language. And you can't say anything that will offend this certain group of people. Like, magkakaroon ng boundaries, like, which is good. Boundary setting. Boundary setting is always good. Pero, sometimes it can be overdone to the point na creativity and expression of creative ideas, thoughts, humorous jokes, they get limited, which kills creativity. But at the same time, it's not all bad kasi magkakaroon ng boundaries and standards ang mga people, content creators especially, like yung mga public figures, magkakaroon sila ng limits na, okay, hindi pwede yung ganito, hindi pwede yung ganyan. And which is good, pero yun nga, it kills creativity. And it also kills confidence kasi you're at this constant fear of being outcasted, being put at the stake and being burnt alive. Ayun na nga sinabi ko sa essay, it's like social crucifixion. Like this constant fear that you might be crucified for something so small. Like your entire character, everything that you've built online, like all of that is goes away as soon as you say this one offensive thing and then you're fucked. I love how I'm talking about cancel culture and how certain words can offend people, and yet here I am using profanity at every single fucking sentence. But who gives a shit? I don't know. I'm just being real with you, you know? So, ayun na nga, cons, you get less creative, tsaka like constant anxiety of being socially outcasted. And ayun, let's stop at that muna. Let's keep adding to it as we go along. So how do we relate the mob mentality to the modern day, which is the cancel culture nga? Is the cancel culture good? For me, it's a case to case eh. Like when it comes to debates like this, it's never a black and white solution. There's always a gray area. It's more of weighing your cons and the pros. Like you can approach it in so many other ways. And I will definitely be making a video about approaching moral dilemmas kasi there are 4 ways to approach moral dilemmas na natutunan ko sa ethics. So thanks, Ma'am Ethics. I don't want to say her name, pero there you go. Kasi I don't have her permission. Pero she taught us really good ways of approaching moral dilemmas, and I will definitely be sharing that to you in another episode. Pero for now, let's focus on cancel culture. So ayun na nga. For me, it's a case to case basis. May mga circumstances talaga na maganda na mayroon tayong cancel culture at meron tayong mga circumstances na hindi. What what determines a good circumstance to a bad circumstance? Um, masasabi ko na cancel culture is good sa circumstances where mabibigyan ng social justice yung isang crime. For example, yung Black Lives Matter, um, medyo na-cancel yung American like policemen that time. It was around the pandemic era. Dahil sa Black Lives Matter, nagkaroon ng social justice for black people, and nabigyan sila ng voice to reach out, protests, express their anger when it comes to police brutality, and nabigyan ng justice yung black people, like, it shined the spotlight sa black community, and it shined a spotlight then sa police brutality, which is still rampant, like, globally. Pero dahil sa Black Lives Matter na-limit and nabigyan ng awareness yung cause na yun. Ayun masasabi kong beneficial yun kasi it's a minority group na nagkaroon talaga ng social justice. Granted, hindi lahat na nag-protest during that time is matino yung pag-protest. Yung iba straight up vandalism and yeah, straight up vandalism and theft yung ginawa nilang method of protesting, which is not really fueled by it's not really fueled by passion. It's more fueled by anger and frustration over police brutality, and I get that, but it's not right to lessen a crime by committing another crime. That's on my point. Pero again, it's a case to case basis. Pero in this case, it's wrong to protest that way. Pero anyways, I digress. Point is, the Black Lives Matter movement, that's a great example of a cancel culture na nagkaroon talaga ng beneficial impact sa society at saka nagkaroon ng social justice. Pero what I will say is not a good form of cancel culture is madaming example, eh. For example, yung pinaka-recent, which is yung beef ni Drake at saka ni Kendrick Lamar. I'm not big on the rap scene, pero I can appreciate good writing when I see it. And I have to say, Kendrick, you fucking nailed it out of the fucking park. Motherfuckers. Fucked. I mean, Drake had to get lawyers because he couldn't send his kids to school and stuff kasi people be beefing so hard. Ayun, that's another example of cancel culture na way like sobra yung effect sa isang person. I mean, game recognized game, I mean, pero I don't want to share my opinion on that beef kasi I'm not really well diverse in that area. So I feel like I'm not qualified to give my opinions on that. But yeah. Anyways, moving on. Another form of cancel culture na I really do not like is yung kay corpse husband. Kung familiar kayo, during the pandemic era, nung nag-rise yung popularity ng Twitch, and this one guy, his name is Corpse Husband, yung may deep voice, and then he would nag-boom siya dahil naglalaro siya ng Among Us. And people all over the world were lusting over this guy's voice kasi it's so hot, it's deep, it's sexy, it's attractive as fuck. And he gained popularity because of that. And then syempre nagkaroon ng social pressure to do a face reveal kasi he's an anonymous YouTuber or content creator. Um he faced social pressure to do a face reveal, and he said na he's not really into giving up his face. He prefers to keep it private, and people have people obsessed over Corpse's face kasi they really want to know what he looks like, which is kind of shitty kasi it shows how people will not give a fuck about your boundaries if you're famous kasi their curiosity is just way off the charts. Even if you don't want to show your face or even if you don't want to give up a certain type of information, they will go through lengths just to know. And it's kind of shitty because you're overstepping your boundaries as a fan, and that's shitty. But eventually, somebody found his actual face, and then people fucking took the biggest shit on him, saying that he's not attractive and shit. I mean, come on, that's so shitty. And then people kept talking shit about him because he's not conventionally attractive. And I'm like, why are you all criticizing this man for how he looks when his content is not even about that. His content is just about him gaming, and he's strictly not even into showing his face like that. Pero you all violated his privacy, and then now you're all like taking the biggest shit on him. Shouldn't we be taking the biggest shit on the guy on the person or the people that revealed his face? Shouldn't we be criticizing that person, not corpse himself? Iba? It's so shitty. It's so shitty. So those are two examples of how can it be good and how can it be bad. It can be unfair. Like it can be very 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 unfair for people yung cancel culture. And the shitty thing about cancel culture is it's like a mob nga kasi, eh. Kaya when it starts, it'll keep growing and growing until it eventually fades. Pero once it starts growing, you can't stop. It just keeps growing. And then it only stops when people get tired of it or whenever they get tired of speaking speaking up or whatever it is they have to say, they get tired and then that's when they stop. It's so shitty whenever that shit happens. In the modern day, may benefits naman talaga ang cancel culture, eh. Kasi A, people are given a voice. People are more afraid to act out. People are more afraid to do shitty things. Kasi, example, you can't catcall nowadays kasi anybody can record your ass and anybody can upload. You can't just steal or it's more harder to do crimes and even social crimes kasi at any given moment, anybody, absolutely anybody, everywhere, anywhere can record your ass and cancel your ass anytime, any fucking where. And it's good kasi people are less likely to do crimes kasi they fear na they're always being recorded. At any given point, anybody can be canceled, which is good kasi nalilesen your crimes. But at the same time, dahil people and the internet tamad mag-isip, sometimes people can get falsely accused or evidence can be manipulated in a certain way to make it look para you can fabricate evidence. And that's so shitty kasi the whole point of cancel culture is for justice pero dahil the internet isn't really the most credible place in the whole world. It's not the most credible place of information. People can easily fabricate information and easily cancel somebody, which is shitty. Pero ang benefits ng another benefit of cancel culture, the minority is given a voice nga, 'di ba? Like you got let's say na you got sexually harassed sa jeep. You can easily reach out about it. You can easily rant online about it. You can I mean, hindi all the time mabibigyan ng social justice. Hindi all the time mabibigyan ng social justice. Pero point is, mabibigyan ka ng at least there's a chance. At least there's a chance, there's a platform for you to reach out and seek help. At least there's a platform. Kasi before, when phones weren't that big of a thing, if you get sexually harassed in the workplace, you're kind of fucked. Kasi if you don't have CCTVs around the area, and CCTVs back then weren't even that great. So if you get sexually harassed, you don't really have a place to reach out and stuff. Maybe you can form a group. Ayun na nga, yung traditional mob mentality na yun, eh. Pero it's harder to do that when you don't have video evidence or and stuff like that. Pero now, absolutely anybody can rant online. And people will eat that shit up. Kasi people want justice. Pero at the same time, people that do crimes can also easily rant online and victim blame people. And then, of course, lagi naman maganda pakinggan yung nagkikwento. So, social injustice is also just as rampant. Pero I think na people's media literacy have been increasing naman as time goes on. So, mas nadi-distinguish natin yung bullshit from actual shit. Kaya justice is more for me, para sa akin justice is more served. Pero maraming instances na hindi nasa-serve yung justice. Hindi nasa-serve nung cancel culture yung purpose niya of giving out justice. It fails to do that sometimes. Pero, okay, here's another good example. Com ano, comedians and content creators, Sila yung pinaka nafa-fuck over ng cancel culture, lalo na ang comedians actually. Kasi noon, nung hindi pa uso yung mga cellphones and stuff, um, solid yung mga comedy bar. Granted, hindi lahat ng jokes appropriate, ibang jokes offensive, pero comedians back then, they could make a fuck ton of yung creative freedom nila medyo malawak-lawak kasi cancel culture isn't that rampant and ayun, malawak yung creativity mo. Granted, siyempre dapat may limits, pero ngayon overly sensitive na kasi yung mga tao, eh, kaya you can't really make that many jokes about you can't really make that many jokes about race, about the LGBTQ or whatever it may be, any political stuff. Medyo mahirap gumawa ng jokes about that sa panahon ngayon kasi napaka-sensitive ng mga tao sa gano'ng klaseng jokes. People are very woke in this era. Kaya making any form of jokes na gano'n madali ma-cancel. Almost guaranteed to have a hater actually. Kaya any comedians on the internet that makes jokes like that, yung mga nag-i-stand-up comedy, there's guarantee, like expect mo na magkakaroon ka ng mga hate fan base sa mga tao na nanonood ng mga jokes mo. It's a guarantee kasi people are sensitive. Pero dahil sa cancel culture, yung creative freedom mo to express jokes, ideas, nale-lessen and lalo na for yun nga, lalo na for comedians. Kaya in the modern era, comedians have reached out na comedy is dead and not gonna lie, it's getting there. People are so easily offended over jokes that are clearly meant to be jokes. Like sarcasm online is so easily mistaken for actual opinions and people are getting canceled left and right. And for comedians, it's harder to make a living. It's harder to make a profit kasi ayun na nga, you're now catering to a very sensitive audience, an audience that gets easily offended over the smallest shit and that seriously limits their creative freedom. Is it good na may ganun? In some circumstances, yeah. Pero for in the majority, no. Kasi to me, naniniwala ako sa mga sinasabi ng comedians sa comedy is dead in the modern era kasi it low-key is dead. It's harder. Like, I don't really see comedy bars that much anymore. Granted, I don't really go out much, so I can't really say much. Pero I can't remember the last time I saw a comedy bar. Do they even exist still? I'm sure that they do. Pero I feel like yeah. Pero I do have to say sa Philippines, ang comedy still pretty alive. Pero ayun, another example ng cancel culture, si Vice Ganda, she gets people really talk shit about her a lot, lalo na sa online media kasi they pick her apart so much. Kasi some of her jokes are offensive, pero for me, she's alright. Okay siya. I don't know Vice Ganda's pronouns, so just magtatagalog na lang ako. Okay lang siya. Pero I could go on and on about this, pero I'm nearing the end, and that's all I really have to say about this. I could go on and on and on, pero I think that's enough to capture my idea. So in the end of the day, is cancel culture great? Some cases yes, some cases no. Good siya sa cases na nabibigyan ng voice yung mga tao na walang voice, and bad siya sa mga cases na nagkakaroon ng this unjust serving ng justice, hindi fair, and hindi like kung ano na lang yung sa majority dun kakapit ang mga tao. Sa mga instances na gano'n, it's shitty. Pero yun, I could go on and on, pero you get what I mean. While I'm trying to like, in the end of the day, my point is just cancel culture is the modern day I fucking forgot. Cancel culture is the modern day mob mentality. So that's it for today's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, give the show a follow and click the bell icon para that way you're notified for any new episodes every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. Kung meron kang mga chikas and stuff, email me at kunganomantopodcast@gmail.com. And until next time, bye, bitch. Bye, 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 bye.